Have you ever felt like you were being watched even when you were alone, at night, lying in your dark room? Have you ever had that strange sensation of a presence, as if there was something bigger and invisible gently hovering over your thoughts? Perhaps for a brief second, you felt time slow down and a chill run down your spine, not from fear, but from deep mystery, from a question that has silently echoed since childhood. Where did I come from? Who is truly looking out for me? Imagine for a moment that this unease isn't just your imagination. What if, right now, there was an ancient intelligence silently observing every step of human evolution, cheering, guiding, waiting for the collective awakening of our species? If these questions give you chills, get ready. Today we're going to dive deep into one of humanity's most fascinating mysteries. We'll explore messages from beyond our planet, cross the thin line between science, spirituality, and fiction, all through the eyes of a real person whose experiences defy logic and expand our understanding of what it means to be human. And before we continue, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. This not only motivates me to bring more profound and thought-provoking topics, but it also ensures you'll receive our next exclusive content on the evolution of consciousness and the mysteries of the universe. Comment below. Do you believe we are alone in the cosmos? Or do you feel there is, in fact, something greater watching us? Close your eyes and imagine. Forces are at work, right now, beyond what we can see. Since the dawn of humanity, stories about invisible guides, angels, gods, and aliens have circulated among tribes, ancient civilizations, great sages, and even renowned scientists. But what if all these cultures were, in their own way, describing the same presence? A presence that wants to teach us, protect us, and perhaps even accelerate our next great evolution. Get ready, because every word in this video could transform how you perceive existence. Amidst this fog of doubt and fascination, an improbable figure emerges, Edgar Cayce. Born in 1877 on a simple farm in Kentucky in the southern United States, he wasn't a sage, he wasn't a prophet, at least not in the eyes of society at his time. Cayce was ordinary. A family man, God-fearing, hard-working, full of doubts and internal conflicts, just like you and me. And behind this apparent anonymity lay his greatest secret. Since he was a boy, Cayce reported vivid visions, lucid dreams, and an inexplicable sense of mission. But everything became truly extraordinary when, at 23, he developed a rare ability. Upon entering a deep trance, he could access information that went beyond any known knowledge diagnoses of illnesses, healing suggestions that surprised doctors, stories of past lives, detailed predictions of the future, and most impressively, accounts of humanity's true origin. Imagine yourself in his shoes, people traveling from all corners, bringing cases that challenged medicine, scientists intrigued by his answers, bewildered family members, newspapers featuring headlines, and a simple man struggling to reconcile what he saw in sessions with his own faith. Cayce didn't seek fame, fortune, or power. He stated, "My answers don't come from me. I am just a channel." Now pause for a moment and think. What if any of us could access dimensions beyond reality simply by tuning into a specific frequency of consciousness? What in fact was speaking through Cayce? His documented readings, more than 14,000 throughout his life, began to draw an astonishingly coherent narrative about the role of beings from the stars in our spiritual development. If you think all this already sounds like science fiction, wait, because in the next few lines, the boundaries between real and impossible will completely dissolve. On an especially silent night, during one of his trance sessions, Edgar Cayce made perhaps one of the most surprising revelations of his entire career. He described, in rich detail, the presence of beings who didn't belong to Earth, the so-called Arcturians. According to Cayce, they had been observing humanity for millennia, subtly guiding our crucial decisions, inspiring leaders, provoking civilizational leaps. But why? Why would such an advanced race waste time with creatures as primitive and aggressive as us humans? Cayce suggested that, for the Arcturians, each planet is a kind of cosmic garden, each species an experimental project, a unique opportunity for the evolution of collective consciousness. They don't wish to dominate or colonize, but rather to serve as true interdimensional mentors, impelling the spark of enlightenment that, according to him, lies dormant within each of us. Imagine the scene. a spiritual laboratory where invisible guides accompany our choices, cheer for our victories, and lament our mistakes, subtly interfering whenever humanity approaches a dead end, be it in times of war, dangerous technological advancements, or the imminent threat of great catastrophes. What if, at the height of despair, there was always an invisible hand reshaping the course of history? What if, contrary to what we think, our evolution isn't a purely random process, but rather a carefully assisted school, where every pain, every victory, every encounter and parting is the result of an intricate cosmic plan where humans and angels from other stars walk side by side? Some more skeptical scholars might even scoff. That's pure invention. But stop and reflect. Why do so many ancient civilizations, separated by oceans and centuries, report visits from shining beings, star masters, and gods who teach art and science? Are we all trapped in the same collective illusion? Or is there, in fact, a universal code running through myths, dreams, and revelations, ready to be deciphered when we finally dare to look up and within? With each new reading, Cayce reinforced, we are all connected to greater intelligences, and our free will is respected. But in critical moments, we are discreetly inspired, much like a child receives silent advice from a parent before their first big step. And thus he provoked crowds to ask, who, after all, is whispering in our ears, and where, exactly, do they want to lead us? Now, prepare for an even bolder leap. Imagine that, long before you were born, even before your first breath, your first tear, your first smile, you chose every detail of your journey. Nothing was by chance. Neither family, nor adversities, nor talents. Everything was meticulously planned by you, and by beings who watch from the other side of the veil. This is the theory of soul contracts, often described in Cayce's readings. Imagine an interdimensional council, where your soul, accompanied by Arcturians and spiritual guides, sits down to discuss the lessons it wishes to learn on Earth. I choose to experience compassion, you say. I want to understand the pain of loss to value love. I want to overcome pride through service. And with each spiritual goal, a scenario is drawn: country, era, predestined encounters. Even the greatest challenges and the people who will confront you are part of this agreement out of pure and deep evolutionary love. It might sound unimaginable, but think how many times you felt that certain events had to happen. How many encounters radically changed your course? How many painful lessons later on brought a greater meaning? Were they just coincidences, or messages from a script written by a part of you that knows exactly what it's doing with the support of very, very ancient masters? In Cayce's accounts, the Arcturians appear as compassionate supervisors of these life choices. It is they who, behind the scenes, constantly remind us of the greater purpose, whisper to our dreams, send synchronistic signs, and in times of crisis, offer invisible alternatives to keep us on track. They impose nothing. They merely suggest, guide, inspire. Close your eyes for a moment and visualize a huge table of light where souls gather, exchange advice, sketch maps of possible lives, and thank the stellar guides for their support. You are not a victim of chance. You are the protagonist of your own destiny, an active participant in a great pact of evolution, designed even before time began. And at this moment a question echoes. If every pain and every joy was chosen and supported by such high intelligences, how would your relationship with suffering change? How much guilt and judgment would you leave behind, accepting that everything is part of an architecture of growth, witnessed with love by consciences who want to see us free, whole, and finally awake to our true nature? Life ceases to be a succession of accidents and transforms into an epic where every fall is an impulse for higher flights. Every encounter is a call to expansion. And this understanding, according to Cayce and so many other mystics, is the beginning of humanity's great transformation, realizing that we are not alone, never have been, and that every step is accompanied by ancient eyes, invisible hands, and hearts that beat in unison with ours. Close your eyes and allow yourself to imagine a universe where life flourishes in billions of forms and levels of consciousness. Now, direct your attention to a specific point in the Milky Way, Arcturus, one of the brightest stars in the night sky, about 36 light-years from Earth. It is from here, according to Edgar Cayce and hundreds of contemporary accounts, that some of the most evolved and compassionate beings ever described by humanity come, the Arcturians. But what would it be like, after all, to encounter an Arcturian being? Imagine a luminous, almost ethereal presence, radiating peace and wisdom. Accounts describe these beings as tall figures, about 6.5 feet tall, with delicate features, large, deep eyes that reflect the vastness of the cosmos like mirrors. Their skin varies in bluish or purplish tones, often translucent, as if light pulsated beneath the surface, indicating not just biology, but an energetic, almost spiritual body. They have no hair, and their movements are soft, synchronized, as if they danced in harmony with the gravity of distant worlds. But more extraordinary than their appearance is their culture. Arcturians don't live to compete, dominate, or accumulate possessions. Their society is structured around principles of cooperation, service, and the expansion of collective consciousness. Each individual is both master and apprentice, guiding and being guided in continuous cycles of learning. There are no rigid hierarchies. Everyone is equally valued, and merit lies in each person's spiritual development. In Arcturian culture, empathy is not just a feeling, but an advanced technology, a conscious method of fusing minds and hearts for mutual understanding. They communicate predominantly by telepathy, transmitting ideas, emotions, and images instantaneously, which eliminates misunderstandings and promotes radical transparency. Here, every desire, every doubt, every anguish is welcomed as part of the learning, and there is no judgment. Imagine living in a world where the pain of others is felt as your own, where the progress of one means elevation for all. Arcturians invest time in collective rituals of healing, deep meditation, and celebrations of life in all its forms. They see the universe as a living organism, and their mission is to care for every spark of consciousness, no matter how distant or primitive it may be. Now imagine being welcomed into one of these communities, sharing ideas, lessons, and challenges without fear, for there is only encouragement for evolution and respect for individuality. It's not a perfect world, doubts and conflicts still exist, but they are treated as opportunities for even deeper expansions of understanding. This culture invites us to rethink our own values. What, after all, do we consider evolution? Is it power or unity, competition or cooperation, judgment or empathy? By describing the Arcturians, Cayce gives us a glimpse into a possible future for humanity. A silent invitation. Can we humans learn from these cosmic masters and rediscover within ourselves the ability to live beyond fear in a society based on mutual care, sharing of knowledge, and respect for each being's unique journey? But is this whole narrative about Arcturians just fantasy? How can we distinguish genuine inspiration from fertile imagination? To answer these questions, we delve into surprising reports and evidence collected by renowned researchers and ordinary people around the world. To begin with, Edgar Cayce's more than 14,000 readings continue to be a subject of study. Doctors, psychologists, and scientists have analyzed hundreds of these records and found medical information anticipated by Cayce decades before it was scientifically proven. Detailed diagnoses, natural treatments unknown at the time, and visions about future technologies that would only exist in the 21st century. And among these readings, the recurring references to beings of light, star guides, and masters from the constellation of Arcturus caught the attention of scholars in mysticism, ufology, and behavioral science. But it wasn't just Cayce who heard these echoes from the infinite. Throughout the 20th and early 21st centuries, reports of contact with Arcturian beings multiplied. Scientist doctors, like the American doctor Norma Milanovich, reported spontaneous telepathic communication, receipt of encoded messages, and even physical interventions in healing processes. Milanovich herself abandoned a brilliant academic career after experiencing almost indescribable experiences of light, warmth, and presence during deep meditation sessions, claiming to have received detailed guidance on self-development practices and new forms of vibrational medicine. French engineer Robert L., after a near-death experience, reported having visited a school of light, where tall, luminous beings explained to him the fundamentals of sacred geometry, the purpose of reincarnation, and the importance of soul contracts. He described the feeling of remembering a long-forgotten truth, involving the Arcturians' commitment to helping humanity through periods of spiritual and ecological crisis. On the internet, there are countless testimonials from people around the world who report sightings of blue spheres, intelligent lights over cities, and communications received during lucid dreams or altered states of consciousness. Furthermore, psychologists and researchers like Michael Newton or Brian Weiss, specializing in past life regression, have identified recurring patterns of memories of contact with non-human beings who offer guidance on empathy, forgiveness, and collective evolution. In the scientific field, the debate is intense. While some dismiss these accounts as hallucinations or constructions of the subconscious mind, others recognize the internal coherence of the experiences, the positive and profound transformation they provoke, especially concerning life purpose, ethics, and a sense of universal belonging. Think for a moment. If part of this universe of experiences is real, it represents a true revolution in understanding who we are. Could it be that angels and guardians of ancient cultures were, in fact, interdimensional beings trying to communicate through the symbols and beliefs of each era? How many pioneering ideas, how many historical turning points might have been discreetly inspired by geniuses from other worlds? This evidence, however controversial, cannot be lightly dismissed. It forms a narrative thread that spans centuries, cultures, and paradigms, uniting the search for meaning, the passion for the unknown, and the inner certainty that there is, indeed, something greater, silently stimulating our flourishing. Now that we've glimpsed what Arcturians are like and how they act, let's dive into the most provocative of their teachings, the Arcturian paradigm. Unlike what we know on Earth, where emotion and reason constantly duel within us, the Arcturians propose a sublime synthesis, the marriage of logic and love. In humanity, we are accustomed to the old dichotomy, feeling or thinking, being rational or intuitive, choosing reason or heart. But for them, there is no separation. Logic is an expression of love, and love is the natural consequence of expanded intelligence. This is not a naive love, but a profound love, anchored in the understanding of universal laws, the systemic functioning of the cosmos, the delicate web that connects every act, every choice, to the collective destiny. In Arcturian daily life, important decisions are made through empathic consensus. Everyone gathers, shares perspectives, meditates together on the impact of each decision for the common good. There is no rush, no pressure. The goal is not just individual success, but the advancement of the entire community. A mistake is not punishment, but an opportunity for collective learning. They know every action reverberates, every thought echoes, and the health of one depends on the balance of all. This paradigm challenges human competitiveness and invites radical cooperation. There is no room for greed or domination. The greater pursuit is harmony. Technology advances, but not with the intent to separate or control, but to expand the capacity to love, care, and integrate. Tools for healing, consciousness expansion, and interdimensional communication are at the service of self-knowledge and the well-being of every living being. Reflect. How many decisions in your life have been motivated by fear of others, by the desire to win or be better? How many times have we taken paths that, in retrospect, we realize caused unnecessary suffering to ourselves and to others? Now, imagine a world where every choice was guided by its positive impact on everyone, where emotion was an ally, of reason and love the supreme law. According to Cayce, contact with Arcturians doesn't just serve to marvel at distant cultures, but to inspire us to overcome our own limitations. They are a mirror of our dormant potential. By adopting a mindset of collectivity, integrated logic, and love, we can transform small daily decisions in family, work, society into seeds of a more just, healthy, and connected world. Perhaps, then, the ultimate purpose of this contact is to remind us of what we already know but have forgotten, that true evolution is not in the accumulation of power, knowledge, or technology, but in the ability to create together a universe where no one is left behind. And thus, they return the question to each of us. Are you ready to choose differently, to live as an active agent of the love and harmonic logic that underpin all life in the cosmos? And if you're enjoying this deep dive, leave your comment. Tell us how these possibilities resonate with your own spiritual quest. Share this video with someone you believe is ready to expand their horizons. And of course, keep watching. In the next topics, we'll explore how technology and spirituality merge in the Arcturian vision, and what the true role of these cosmic masters is in current human evolution. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a future where science and spirituality walk hand in hand. Instead of dividing ourselves between the cold logic of technology and the subtle sensitivity of spiritual practices, we envision a humanity where every technological innovation is designed to enhance inner awakening, empathy, and the connection between beings. This is the essence of what Arcturians, according to Edgar Cayce and so many other contactees, have been experiencing for millennia. In the Arcturian universe, there is no abyss between the laboratory and the temple. The search for truth is one whether it manifests in the study of subatomic particles or in deep meditation to access states of consciousness beyond time and space. For them, any technology that doesn't serve to heal, unite, expand perception, or facilitate the evolution of the soul simply has no value. Imagine a hospital of light where each patient is regenerated by sound frequencies, energy fields, and crystals programmed with patterns of energetic healing. It's as if medicine, art, and spirituality merge into a single language. Arcturians, according to contact experiences and channelings, master interdimensional travel techniques, not just traveling in space, but also between planes of existence. Their ships, described as organic structures, are extensions of their own minds, capable of responding to the intention and feeling of their pilots. Control panels don't have buttons and levers, but rather surfaces sensitive to the energy of touch, thoughts, and even emotions. It's a technology so advanced that it merges with magic, but for them, it's just the natural result of spiritual maturation. And if we brought this paradigm to Earth, how would our relationship with technology be? Think, do we use our most advanced devices to create true connections or to isolate ourselves? Are our algorithms designed to stimulate creativity and empathy, or just to capture attention and sell products? The Arcturian provocation is clear. Technology without spiritual purpose is empty. But by integrating the two, we can elevate human potential to previously unimaginable levels. There are reports of people who, in deep meditative states or near-death experiences, claim to have received downloads of technological information directly from these stellar guides, ideas for new teaching methods, instant communication based on empathy, non-polluting energy resources, biotechnologies that restore the balance of body and mind. We're not talking about a distant future, but about trends already envisioned by cutting-edge scientists who seek inspiration in ancient practices to develop innovative solutions. And have you ever thought about how you could use everyday technology to accelerate your own process of self-knowledge and healing? How about transforming screen time into opportunities for meditation, conscious learning, or even sharing practices of compassion and gratitude? The universe invites us to rethink the role of technology in our lives, making it a bridge to higher states of consciousness. Now, take a deep breath and turn your gaze to Earth, here and now. Many have the impression that we live in times of crisis, global tensions, environmental crises, collective anxiety, a sense of isolation, even amidst hyperconnection. It sometimes seems as if humanity is on the brink of a precipice. But what if, behind the apparent disorder, we were going through one of the most important moments of our collective evolution? And what if we weren't alone in this process? According to Cayce and other mystics, Arcturians have intensified their presence in a subtle, silent way, always respecting free will, but sending impulses, dreams, inspirations, and even interventions at decisive moments in recent history. They don't appear in public squares, they don't seek prominence. They prefer to act behind the scenes, provoking awakening in groups, facilitating encounters between the right people, inspiring movements of social, ecological, and spiritual reform. How many times have you felt a call to change, to seek something more authentic, even when everyone around you seemed content with the superficial? The Arcturians would play a fundamental role in this current awakening of consciousness that echoes across the planet. It's not about a religious change, but a leap in the perception of who we are and our place in the universe. They help dissolve limiting beliefs, stimulate cooperation among peoples, encourage respect for differences, and responsibility for our planetary home. They are guardians of collective transitions, just as teachers assist students in the most challenging phases of school. But they never do it for us. Their role is to provoke, suggest, show paths, respecting everyone's freedom, because without conscious choice, there is no true evolution. Reports from people who feel this contact vary from improbable synchronicities, sudden clarity, lucid dreams, to even sightings and mystical experiences of healing and guidance. Often, the first sign is an uncontrollable desire to seek meaning, to change old patterns, to find one's own place in the world. It's as if an invisible light ignites within the chest, guiding every step, even when the final destination is unknown. Reflect, how often do opportunities, encounters, and new ideas seem to arrive at the right time? How many of us, in moments of crisis, receive a sudden inspiration, a symbolic message, an inexplicable comfort? Are they coincidences, or reflections of the silent work of these cosmic masters, rooting for our success, whispering in our collective consciousness, "Wake up, transform, be the new chapter in human history"? In times of transition, it's common to feel fear, resistance, or even revolt. But when we look at humanity's timeline, we see that the greatest evolutionary leaps almost always came from limit situations, guided by amplified sensitivities. And perhaps now our greatest task is simply to open our inner eyes to recognize that we have never been alone, and that at this very moment we are invited to take the leading role in the great adventure of evolution. After everything we've experienced in this deep dive, from Cayce and his surprising visions, to Arcturian cultures, from soul contracts to the marriage of technology and spirit, and the role of these masters in our awakening, one essential question remains: which path will you choose from now on? Imagine looking at your daily life with the same fascination as someone who discovers they are observed and guided by ancient consciousnesses who are rooting for your success and evolution. What if every challenge, every encounter, every doubt, and every dream were seen as stages of a sacred contract, witnessed by beings of light who see in you incalculable potential? The only difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary existence lies in the willingness to awaken to something greater, to allow yourself to hear the whispers of the soul and to answer the universe's invitations. Perhaps you feel like researching more, meditating, delving deeper into self-healing and consciousness expansion practices, and that's already the first step. Or perhaps you want to share this video, comment on your experience, start a study group with friends. Whatever the path, the essential thing is not to return to the comfortable sleep of automated routine. You, like Cayce and so many other seekers, are called to be a bridge between worlds, to integrate technology, spirit, and humanity within yourself. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to access more stories like this. Therefore, if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you recognized this call. How about becoming part of our movement now? Leave a comment telling us which of these topics resonated most with you. Have you experienced something similar? Do you feel the influence of these masters on your journey? Share this content with someone who needs a new perspective. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. In the coming weeks, we'll delve even deeper into these topics, with interviews, untold stories, and practices for collective awakening. Remember, you are not alone. We are all fundamental pieces in this great cosmic tapestry, and perhaps together we can create the reality so many dream of, a humanity more conscious, connected, and ready for the next evolutionary leap. Now, take a deep breath, look up at the sky and within yourself. The universe awaits your answer.